Good afternoon, hello, and welcome everybody all over Europe to this very special event this afternoon. We have more than 80 people registered for this very special event, and a number already, a rising number already live here. It's great to have you with us. It's a pleasure you join our ceremony this afternoon, and I dare to say in advance already, it's really worth it. I'm Markus Bohanka, FAB CE Communications Manager here at Austro Control in Vienna, and I have the honor to guide you through our program this afternoon. Well, what do we intend in the next 30 minutes? That is the signing ceremony of the joint declaration between the FAB CE and the FABEC, a document that is fostering the already strong and long-standing cooperation in aviation between two institutions representing 13 countries and ANSPs in the heart of Europe. This joint declaration between the Functional Airspace Bloc Central Europe, FAB CE, and the Functional Airspace Bloc Europe Center, the FABEC. Well, and for this signing ceremony, we are very glad, and it's a great pleasure and honor to have with us this afternoon Valerie Hackl, Chair of the FAB CE CEO Committee and Managing Director, Austro Control. Good afternoon, Valerie. And we have with us Klaus-Dieter Scheurle, Chairman of the FABEC CEO Board and CEO of DFS. Good afternoon, Klaus-Dieter. Great to have you with us. Thank you for your time, for taking your time and for being with us. And we are happy to have two operational experts with us who will come in later on then, who will join us later then. Peggy de Westel, Chair of the FABEC Standing Committee Operations and COO from Skies, and Mate Elyon, in FAB CE, the Director of the Aviation Services Limited. Before we have a look, what is this joint declaration between the FAB CE and the FABEC, what it stands for? You all know we were planning very ambitiously and intensively to have signed this document of cooperation earlier this year, together with you, face-to-face, meeting you in person at the World ATM Congress in Madrid. But you all know something happened in the meantime that has disrupted our business, but hopefully protected all our health. And digitalization makes it possible. We can now still be together in this way, proceed with our plans for improving aviation in Europe, with working closer together in FABEC and FAB CE based on this joint declaration that will be signed today. And after the signing ceremony, you, of course, our audience, are invited to come up with your questions. Please, short and precise. You can find the questions tool in this GoToWebinar app, or right on your screen there. Please submit your questions, maybe including the organization you're from. We are glad to forward them then to our speakers and to answer your questions. So what is it all about? The outstanding long-term relationship between the two FABs, the FABEC and the FAB CE, shall be intensified in various fields and areas, from safety to airspace structure, from capacity management to the aeronautical information management, with projects and initiatives described in this declaration. And well, just before we start, we want to show you a very short video that will give us an insight into that joint declaration, summarizing the main areas of cooperation that will be shown in this video. Peter in the background is our director of this show, of this event here, and he will start the video right now. So you can see a lot is being done in line with the European Commission's Single European Sky Vision, the big project here in the European Union. If only there was air traffic crossing our airspaces again, so that we can improve the ATM performance, because what touches all of us most right now are, of course, the consequences of this incredible virus crisis that suddenly hit us worldwide and our industry extremely hard. So before we get to the topic at hand, we can't start without talking about the massive crisis that has hit the aviation sector. Valerie Hackl, representing FAB CE, what impact does this crisis have? What are your thoughts facing this current situation now?
Yeah, thank you very much, Marcus. Thank you for hosting us. I'm happy to be here on behalf of my FAB CE colleagues here as chairperson of FAB CE. Yeah, the current situation with COVID-19 is, of course, dramatic for all of us. We all know in what situation we're in. It has not affected the whole world, I would say. It has affected various industries, and of course, it has affected heavily the aviation industry. We know that we are in this all together, airlines, airports, and of course, air navigation service providers. So the decline in traffic has been tremendous in Europe, around more than 80% so far. We hope it's getting better these days, these weeks, and we see some rise in traffic again. But it's really ambiguous how long this will take and how it will affect us in the end. As we all know, that we have to maintain and restore our critical infrastructure. That's what we do in Austria and in FAB CE in general. We have operations ongoing 24/7, of course. We try to protect our staff first and foremost, increase hygiene measures, as probably we did all together. And of course, we have to think of the financial impact that this crisis has on our industry, on the ANSP landscape in Europe in general. Lots of discussions going on here. So I think the uncertainty is high for each one of us. So this is really a very difficult situation, and it's incredible how from one day to the other the situation changed by 180 degrees from the challenges in the beginning of the year, where we were thinking about how we could tackle the increase in demand and increase in traffic this summer, especially, to the next day where the challenge was right the opposite, and we're now trying to correspond flexibly with the ongoing situation, and it's really a big thing for us, and I believe it's the same for FABEC, for our partners there.
Thank you, Valerie. So far, a number of challenges that the aviation and ANSPs especially are facing in these tough times. Klaus-Dieter Scheierle, CEO from DFS, representing the FABEC today. Well, facing these massive consequences of the corona crisis, what do you think of this situation aviation currently has to face?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you, Marcus, for guiding us through this event. I want to say this event has even historical dimension, because it's happening in the spirit of the European Sky Initiative, and cooperation is also the thing we have to tackle, in particular in times like this, because the COVID-19 crisis is unique. That's very clear for everybody of us. Unfortunately, we have to acknowledge that traffic will not return to pre-COVID-19 levels for a number of years. Nobody knows how many numbers, and we hope that the numbers of the year are limited, but we have to see that they will now return quickly. But we are already planning ahead to ensure when it does. So we have to be ready when recovery takes place. This means providing safe and cost-effective airspace infrastructure that meets European objectives in terms of punctuality, in terms of environmental footprint and efficiency. Cross-border free route airspace continues to grow. Our area control centers collaborate on a daily basis to optimize flight paths for airspace users, and arrival management procedures are reducing aircraft emissions above Europe's busiest hub airports. There are many more initiatives waiting in the wings to take advantage of emerging digital technology and to contribute to Europe's target reduction in carbon emissions.
So thank you so far, Klaus-Dieter. We see we are probably in the most difficult situation in aviation ever, but we will cope with it. And what we see in these recent days now, also in the light of the rising summer sun, that aviation is recovering, that airlines are getting back to life, even if this recovery is very tough, as we can see. What makes the well-performing ATM and the work of the FABs probably even more important? Klaus-Dieter, FABs have been established already 8 years ago in 2012. What would you see as the main achievements of FABs, of FABEC and FABCE, especially, of course, in this time, in the meantime?
First, I would like to say that FABs are not deaf, but very busy. Yeah, the vision behind the Single European Sky requires navigation service providers to work together, to collaborate, in order to achieve synergies and optimize resources. These steps are needed more than ever to increase resilience across the network and ensure the industry is ready for future recovery. Europe's functional airspace blocks, the FABs, have been leading this process for years by collaborating across national boundaries to implement regional programs, deploy common systems, and share best practices. And this was also on the agenda for many years among the FAB CE and the FABEC.
Valerie, same question to you. What do you estimate are the most important achievements of the FABs, of the FAB CE, and with the COVID-19 crisis still dominating the day-to-day business, what significance does this joint declaration have as well?
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of cornerstones that are relevant in the context of Single European Sky. Two of them are an efficient flow of air traffic, of course, and the second one would be the environmental impact of aviation in general. And I believe that the functional airspace blocks really had a very significant impact here so far, especially with what I would like to mention is the free routes airspace concept. That was initially incorporated in 2016 in our area. And what is interesting is that there already we started working on a cross-FAB level with other functional airspace blocks in order to expand those airspaces. So I think we have proven already that some of the achievements were realized within the FAB context. And this is really of help for the aviation industry, for the environmental impact it has on Europe as such. So that's one thing I would like to mention. And now the joint declaration, of course, will have a even higher impact in the future. At least that's our hope, and that's why we're doing this, and that's why we're committed to this. Not only to have an even more solid basis for our cooperation that works well already, but of course we jointly have to join forces here in Europe in order to recover after or when recovering from the crisis. We have to focus on cost efficiency even more than before with COVID-19. And of course, the environmental footprint will come more into focus in the upcoming years. And for all this, the joint declaration should be some sort of additional input and sort of a kickoff here today.
Thank you. So a number of fields of goals that should be reached by this joint declaration, by those intensive activities from FABEC, from FABCE. I would suggest to bring in two operational experts right now from the two FABs, from the FABEC and from the FABCE. We have with us Peggy de Wessel from FABEC and Matej Eljon from FABCE. I hope we can see them now as well. Hello, Peggy. Hello, Matej. So, Peggy, from an operational standpoint, what are the specific examples you might mention where cooperation has produced results already?
Yes, hi, Marcus. Thank you. I think from an operational point of view, we have an increased cooperation between FABEC and FABCE. And this has resulted in many joint programs aimed at making cross-border operations as seamless as possible. One of the achievements that we had a phased implementation of the free route airspace, and this has led to steady improvement in the horizontal flight efficiency. And this is really fundamental for the measures of the ATM performance. We also had recently a rise of the adverse weather events, and this also led to increased collaboration between FABEC and FABCE. And there we developed new procedures to mitigate disruptive weather conditions like thunderstorms over the Alps. And this gives the possibility for the air traffic controllers to reroute the traffic to the less busy sector regardless of the national boundaries. And this is also illustrating the strong partnership between Munich and Vienna area control centers. Another cross-border program is the X-MAN, Extended Arrival Management, and this is a close cooperation between the en route centers. So traffic can fly optimized descent profiles, and the system is already operational in Frankfurt, Munich, and Zurich Airport, and this has more than 10 operational links to the adjacent control centers, also included in the Interfab colleagues in Vienna. We also had a very close cooperation as the network manager came 2 years ago with the summer program, and by working together, we had a decrease of more than 10% of delay overhead overall the network, and this is also because of working strongly together. And in case of the COVID-19, I think we have to cooperate much more further. And I think this is one of the opportunities to go on with our partnership, to have an alignment with the recovery plans all together and sharing the information between us. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. So a number of examples that are in evidence for the good cooperation between FABEC, FABCE, of the FABs that are working well in light of single European sky. Matej, can you complement it and give an outlook into the future? Are there additional areas of cooperation now and for the future in the concrete work of FABCE, FABEC, and working together?
Yes, there are also other important areas of cooperation, not only operational, where FABCE and FABEC are already cooperating. So there is one technical domain, it's one of the important areas. For example, we established a joint task force dedicated to the technical personnel training. We already developed a pool of questions used in training process and also in the knowledge assessment. And with this activity, we can guarantee a harmonized level of expertise while reducing resources needed for training preparation. Even more cooperation is foreseen in technical area, as digitalization will play an important part in building a seamless airspace structures, unrestricted by national borders. We want to ensure that we have procedures and tools available to support the Commission's digital European sky. And we already started work on programs to support this initiative. There is also another example of future project, which is coming from aeronautical information domain. In addition to the introduction of harmonized data sets that allow neighboring states to share aeronautical information, FABCE and FABEC intend to increase integrity of the data used in cross-border operations, including free route operations. Last but not least, and this is especially important in those times, there is also an activity in human resource domain where we cooperate in FAB level social dialogue process. A social dialogue forum is organized by FABCE twice per year, where the representatives of professional organizations meet with FABCE management, discussing progress on FAB activities and also its impact on working conditions.
Thank you, Matej. So let's continue taking a look into the future. Valerie, today in a few moments, we're just approaching and getting closer to it, we will be signing this joint declaration. Klaus-Dieter and you will be signing, representing FABEC and FABCE, formalizing those areas of cooperation between the FABCE and the FABEC. What are your expectations then for going forward?
Well, so this joint declaration builds upon the foundation that we have already established, I would like to say, as we heard just now, and it aims at supporting Europe's long-term goals in harmonizing operations, in expanding the digital infrastructure, in reducing also the environmental impact, just to name a few. So I think it complies really well with the concepts that we heard so far with the Airspace architecture study published just recently, with the ATM master plan, and of course with the European Union's 2020 Green Deal initiative. And I think given those dynamics, it's just the right timing that we stick together even closer, have identified different domains where we would like to work together even better, have exchanges, workshops, and even concepts and implementations together in order to support those European goals that were released. So I think this declaration can be a significant step forward for European aviation industry.
So thank you. An important step set by FABEC and FABCE. Klaus-Dieter, where are we going to with signing this joint declaration? What will the future be like? Difficult question, of course, but what are your expectations from this cooperation? Is this something that maybe could as well become best practice for other FABs?
Yes, definitely, Markus. This is a very innovative approach and could very well serve as best practice also for others. The joint declaration places all our individual activities into the wider context of long-term collaboration and closer working relations. FABCE and FABEC NSPs are committed to operational excellence, and this agreement recognizes the benefits of a collective approach to providing safe, resilient air.
So thank you.
So coming now to the
yeah, I just had to unmute my mic again, and now I think we can hear each other again very well. And yeah, that's what it is. The future will come of aviation, and it seems to be brighter than it might have appeared in the last weeks and days. And we are going to shape an important piece of this future of aviation today by signing this joint declaration. You know, what should have happened now is exactly in the program of our signing ceremony originally planned for Madrid, that we would have changed the setting on stage, that we would have asked you to take your pens, very festive, of course, Valerie and Klaus-Dieter asking to sign, but we do the same right now in the same way, but with the safe distance in between. So may I ask you, Klaus-Dieter, Valerie, to take your pen, to reach out for the prepared documents, and to sign the joint declaration between FABEC and FABCE. We now have arrived at this very special moment, and we can watch you signing this document. And I think now it is done. And maybe you can lift the maps. Yeah, Valerie shows us into the camera. Klaus-Dieter, maybe you as well, so that we see that there is the signature of the CEOs of Austro Control and DFS representing FABEC and FABCE. Of course, we will send the documents and for counter-signing by mail, by traditional mail, back to the future to each other, and it will be signed by the other party, of course. So nothing can stop aviation and FABEC and FABCE from improving further this cooperation for the benefit, of course, of airspace users of the airlines, and of course the passengers who we hope will be back in aviation very soon. So this concludes the official part of our signing ceremony, and now it's time, of course, for your questions. And we do have the first question here already. First, we have some greetings from Maurice Georges from the SNA. Thank you for that. Great to have you with us as well. And then we have Jerry O'Connell, who asks us, will you distribute the declaration? I think this is a yes. Valerie, Klaus-Dieter, we will publish it, of course. So do you agree? Yeah. So we will have this declaration, of course, published. And we have another question here. Well, the FABs, we mentioned it before, have been in place for some time already. Maybe can you make it more concrete? Where do the airspace users benefit from this cooperation? So how will airspace users, airlines, passengers see that this cooperation between the FABs works?
So is it the first question, Markus?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I'm happy to step in. Well, of course, the objective is to harmonize the European airspace, full stop. Therefore, the aim will be that routes and flying times will decrease, that carbon emissions will be reduced. Cost synergies can be leveraged, and so I think this is a whole set of different benefits for the airspace users, for the passengers, of course, very important, and also for the ANSPs being able to operate even more efficient, even more safely, even better in the future. So I think the beneficiaries are multiple, I would say.
A number of benefits. Klaus-Dieter, do you want to complement?
Yeah, we have to recognize that one of the strongest air traffic streams are flying through the airspace of FABEC, but also through the airspace of FAB CE. And so it makes a lot of sense to have not a boundary between us, but to cooperate very closely to abolish this boundary and to provide even direct flights through the two FABs. You know, this is something that would be very beneficial for the airspace users and also the passengers. And it's, let's say, it's a target that is not easy to achieve, but I think this is now possible because we wanted to go from the, let's say, daily cooperation to a more institutionalized cooperation, a systemic cooperation. And with this cooperation, the promise of all of us is combined that we will do the best in favor of the airspace users and their passengers.
Mm-hmm. We have another question from Chris Wade here. Will other FABs be signing similar cooperations in the future? Klaus-Dieter, you mentioned that you think that could be best practice. So do you have any signs that others could step in as well?
I must say that we from FABEC, we started the initiative to cooperate more closer with other FABs. So the inter-FAB dialogue, you know, has enhanced very much. And we have recognized altogether that we all have, let's say, same interests or similar views on various things, but that it's also worthwhile to exchange the views. And so we have identified many areas where we can cooperate much more closer than before. That one of the areas, of course, is regulation, but also, of course, operational issues, how to deal with weather issues, things like that. So we have identified that it's really of great value to cooperate and to talk with each other beyond the FABs. And therefore, I'm saying that this cooperation between FAB CE and FABEC is a first step, and I can let's say imagine that we will have further cooperation like this, or that the two FABs of us, the FAB CE and the FABEC, will then make similar cooperation iterations with other FABs.
Mm-hmm. Are there additional aspects to that?
Yeah, I think if we set a marker here with this joint declaration where others would like to follow and join in, it would be really great for the aviation industry in Europe in general. I think there shouldn't be hurdles to do so, but of course it's something that has to be discussed bilaterally, and I'm curious and interested to see whether this could be fruitful in Europe. Yeah.
Okay, so we see time flies and we must come to an end. Maybe one last question to the both of you. Of course, we have mentioned several times the Corona crisis has hit aviation very hard. How do you think the ANSPs can cope with this situation right now, find out a way out of the crisis so that the results of this joint declaration, of this cooperation can be seen in the near future? Valerie?
You mean how the two go together, the Corona crisis effects plus what's the impact of the joint declaration here, or?
Yeah. So what is the next step forward? What do you expect, and when can the results from this joint cooperation be effective and be seen in aviation?
I think this is an ongoing process. There shouldn't be a definitive end, but of course we will have milestones or ambitions that we will have to discuss more closely. We have set out, as I said, 6 domains. We will work together more closely, and I think all of those in general will not only help the aviation industry in general, but it will help in particular in this very difficult corona or post-corona situation. So I'm looking forward to actually identifying myself where this will bring us to, from safety over harmonized training protocols, as we said, information, aeronautical information that can be shared in a more harmonized way, etc. So there are really different levers that we will focus on, and that will help us to recover, hopefully, fast from the current situation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We have one additional aspect. Maybe we can bring it up right now here from Paul Nearing. He says direct flights are ideal for commercial airspace users. They do not take the shortest way as a standard. So how can the cooperation between FABEC and FABCE help to make commercial airspace users fly more predictable routes? Maybe Klaus-Dieter, you can give an answer to that as well. And the same question to you as well. How do you expect the NSPs, DFS, FABEC, NSPs, the aviation in general, to get through the crisis? What are your expectations in this field?
The first thing, of course, is that we have also a close and effective dialogue with airspace users from an NSP point of view. I think this is really essential that we are changing the views and the interests in order to let's say, to match the challenges out of this crisis the best way. And I think in this environment, cooperation like we have signed today, can help also to give airspace users a more, let's say, a picture of future and how can we match future challenges and make also the air traffic much more sustainable in terms of environmental sustainability. I think from the broader basis of 2 FABs, we can describe a better picture than we could alone. But of course, beyond this cooperation among the NSPs, we have also to look after cooperation with the airspace users.
So very important step that we took today. Thank you very much for participating in this signing ceremony today between the FABEC and the FABCE. We have our joint declaration right now. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, Klaus-Dieter. It was a great pleasure and an opportunity to having you here, and thank you to all our audience, to all the participants who took part in the signing ceremony. We hope that we will very soon be able to see each other again in person. So at the latest, maybe next year at the World ATM Congress in Madrid. And well, of course, safety has always been the top priority in aviation and will always be. Thank you also to the team organizing this signing ceremony in the background. Peter, Roland, Pierre, and Raymond Friedrich in Switzerland, and all over the 2 FABs. So all the best, and hope to see you soon again. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Marcus. Everybody joining us.
Thank you too. Thank you. Goodbye.
Keep healthy.